Have you ever wondered how a small country like Yemen can impact the global economy? A question that might seem strange at first, but holds a key to understand the intricate web of our global economy. Yemen, a small arid country located at the southwestern tip of the Arabian Peninsula, might not be the first name that comes to your mind when thinking about global economic powerhouses. However, its location is what makes Yemen strategically significant in the global economy. It sits at the crossroads of major maritime trade routes connecting the Red Sea with the Arabian Sea and beyond. Every year, billions of barrels of oil and countless goods pass through these waters, making it a vital artery of global commerce. But in the past several years, Yemen has been caught in the throes of a dire economic crisis. A crisis that started small, localized within the borders of this arid land. A crisis that was initially dismissed as a regional issue. But little did the world know that it would soon feel the ripple effects of this seemingly remote crisis. The crisis in Yemen started with a surge in factional conflicts and political instability. As the situation worsened, the economy took a severe hit. Basic services crumbled, industries came to a standstill, and unemployment rates soared. The local economy shrunk, and the country fell into a state of desperation and despair. But the economic ripples didn't stop at Yemen's borders. The crisis started affecting the global economy in ways that were not initially foreseen. As the conflict escalated, it began to disrupt the maritime trade routes passing through the region. The disruption led to an increase in global shipping costs and insurance premiums, which in turn affected the prices of goods worldwide. The economic crisis in Yemen serves as a stark reminder of how interconnected our global economy is. A turmoil in one small country can send shockwaves across the globe, influencing markets and economies in ways we might not initially comprehend. Now that we've established the importance of Yemen, let's delve deeper into the onset of the crisis. The economic crisis in Yemen didn't happen overnight. It was a slow and agonizing process, a cauldron of factors that brewed over time, gradually escalating into the catastrophe we see today. Going back in history, Yemen has been plagued by political instability for decades. From the North-South divide in the 60s to the Arab Spring uprising in 2011, the nation's political landscape has been a tumultuous one, filled with power struggles, failed governments, and civil unrest. This instability has crippled Yemen's economic growth, leading to a vicious cycle of poverty and conflict. Yet the political turmoil is only one part of the equation. Yemen's crisis has been further exacerbated by continuous conflict. The civil war that erupted in 2015 between the Yemeni government and Houthi rebels has torn the country apart, causing widespread destruction and human suffering. The war has not only decimated the nation's infrastructure but also shattered its economy, leading to hyperinflation, unemployment, and severe food shortages. But the crisis in Yemen isn't just a domestic issue. The role of international players has been instrumental in shaping the conflict. Regional powers such as Saudi Arabia and Iran have turned Yemen into a battleground for their proxy war, further fueling the crisis. The flow of arms and support to the warring parties has sustained the conflict, turning Yemen into a humanitarian disaster. As this crisis unfolded, its effects rippled out into the global economy. Yemen, once a significant exporter of oil, saw its production drastically decline due to the war, impacting global oil prices. The closure of key shipping routes near Yemen, crucial for global trade, has also disrupted the world economy, leading to increased shipping costs and delays in trade. In the world of interconnected economies, a crisis in one corner of the world can send shockwaves across the globe. As the crisis deepened, the ramifications were felt far beyond Yemen's borders. The crisis in Yemen wasn't contained within its borders. It rippled across the globe. This is a tale of how a localized conflict can have global implications. While Yemen may seem distant to many, its crisis has had a profound impact on global trade, oil prices, and international relations, underlining the interconnectedness of our world. Let's start with global trade. Yemen, situated in a strategic location, controls some of the world's most important shipping lanes. The Bab el-Mandeb Strait, a choke point between the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden, sees millions of barrels of crude oil pass through daily. With the conflict escalating, the strait became a hotbed of uncertainty, causing disruptions in global shipping routes. This led to delays in trade, driving up costs and creating a ripple effect on global supply chains. Next, we look at oil prices. Yemen might not be a leading oil producer, but its geopolitical position is of immense significance. The uncertainty caused by the crisis led to a spike in global oil prices. This was due to fears of a potential blockade of the crucial shipping routes, which would have a drastic impact on oil supplies. The world watched anxiously as oil prices rose, putting further pressure on economies already struggling with inflation and economic downturns. Finally, let's turn to international relations. The Yemen crisis has not only been a humanitarian disaster, but also a complex geopolitical puzzle. It has strained relations among global powers and regional players, leading to a shift in alliances and power dynamics. The crisis has prompted an international outcry, with calls for peace negotiations and an end to arms sales to the warring parties. In conclusion, the crisis in Yemen has had far-reaching consequences. It has affected everything from the cost of your morning cup of coffee to the balance of power in international politics. Yemen's crisis has shown us how interconnected our global economy truly is. Fast forward to today, the situation in Yemen has not improved. The economic plight of Yemen continues to cast a long shadow over the global economy. The country, once known as the backbone of the Arabian Peninsula, is now a symbol of economic distress that has ripple effects far beyond its borders. Yemen's economy is in a state of freefall. Inflation is soaring, with the cost of basic commodities such as food and fuel outpacing the income of ordinary Yemenis. The Yemeni rial, once a robust currency, has lost nearly 80% of its value. This economic collapse has pushed millions of people to the brink of famine, creating a humanitarian crisis of epic proportions. But the economic crisis in Yemen is not contained within its borders. It's spilling over, impacting the global economy in ways we're just beginning to understand. The instability in Yemen has led to disruptions in oil supply routes through the Red Sea, causing fluctuations in global oil prices. This in turn impacts economies around the world, from the gas pumps in the United States to the factories in China. Efforts to resolve the crisis have been met with numerous obstacles. Political instability, armed conflicts, and a lack of effective governance have made it difficult to implement economic reforms. International aid has been pouring in, but it's like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. Without a stable government and peace, the economic situation in Yemen continues to deteriorate. Moreover, the global community is grappling with its own challenges. The world is still reeling from the economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, making it even harder to marshal the resources and willpower necessary to address the crisis in Yemen. The future remains uncertain, but the impact of Yemen's crisis on the global economy is undeniable. Yemen's plight serves as a stark reminder that in our interconnected world, no country's economic hardships exist in isolation. The ripples of Yemen's crisis are being felt globally, and the world can no longer afford to look away. Let's take a moment to reflect on what we've discussed. We've unraveled the complex tapestry of Yemen's importance in the global economic landscape. This modest nation, often overlooked, holds significant sway over the world's economic well-being. The onset of the crisis in Yemen wasn't just a local catastrophe, but a ticking time bomb for the global economy. We unveiled the layers of the crisis, detailing how it was far from an isolated incident. It's a domino that has set off a cascading effect, shaking the very foundations of economic structures worldwide. From the rising costs of commodities to the disruption of trade routes, Yemen's plight has echoed across continents, impacting nations far removed from the Middle East. We journeyed through the ripple effects of this crisis, exploring its far-reaching global impact. We saw how the escalating conflict in Yemen has sent shockwaves through the global economic landscape. It's not just about the soaring prices of oil or the destabilization of the region. It's about how these ripples are impacting everyday lives, from London to Los Angeles, from Beijing to Buenos Aires. Furthermore, we delved into the current state of affairs. The crisis, far from being resolved, continues to deepen, with the world economy still reeling from its effects. The situation remains volatile, with the potential to further disrupt the world economy. Understanding the situation in Yemen allows us to see the larger picture of our global economic interdependence. The world's economy is indeed a web, and even the smallest disruption can have far-reaching effects. This is not just a story about Yemen, but a stark reminder of our interconnectedness and the fragility of our global economic system. It's a call to action for us to pay attention, to understand, and to act. Because the repercussions of ignoring such crises could be more devastating than we could ever imagine. Understanding the situation in Yemen allows us to see the larger picture of our global economic interdependence. The world's economy is indeed a web, and even the smallest disruption can have far-reaching effects.
Subscribe for more videos like this. Turn on notification and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.